Vishnu. You unmuted? Are you okay? Okay. So, whew.
Are you doing okay, Prabhu?
Excuse me?
Are you okay? How are you doing?
I won't say.
Krishna's
That's
mercy.
Mother Vrindavaneshwari,
Yes, Prabhu, I'm here.
do I start?
What's that?
Do I start?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. I'm very excited that we decided to do this, and it was very challenging. Vishnu, give me my headphones. I'll plug them in. This was very challenging. It almost looked like they're over here somewhere. I can't get that. But anyway, I hope that many of you prepared for the holy name. I have a question. Let me get my headphone on. How many of you have read some of Japa Reform Notebook?
I read till page 40. The skeleton and the prayer.
Because that's what's going to make it easier or difficult. So today we're starting a different situation. Because we've committed ourselves to reading the Japa Reform Notebook, then that means I have to prepare ahead of time for the class, and you prepare because by you reading, I don't go over a lot of the subject matter. But the Japa Reform Notebook, there's just a few things that we should keep in mind before we get started. One is that we all have a desire to reform our japa. And that is an acknowledgement of that we want to change what we've been doing in the past. We want to adjust it. We want to come up with some new type of resolve so that our japa will be different. And what are we looking for in changing the japa? We're looking for improving our relationship with Krishna. So these goals have to be clear. We're looking to change the way we've been chanting. We're looking to strengthen or identify our relationship with Krishna. And the last thing is that we're looking to remain aware of the fact that we're Krishna's eternal servants, and that relationship has been broken because of us. So we know our position. Our unchangeable position is that we belong to Krishna. And that awareness keeps us conscious. It actually will be able to keep us Krishna conscious. It's an awareness of Krishna. So a lot of sweet things have happened for me over the last week. Unfortunately, my relationship with the holy name has become interrupted. I have a lot of japa to do. I was, as Rona said, I had a procedure, and I've been so out of it sometimes that it's just unbelievable. But I chant to Krishna. Sometimes it's taking me so long chanting to Krishna. But I'm aware that he knows that I'm trying. I know he knows I'm trying. And when I look at it's a half an hour past and I'm trying to chant the second round, I know there's no question of him knowing that I'm trying. I said, God is a person. And at a certain point, I said, Krishna, I think I have to lay down. And that's the way I stayed for the next 8 or 9 hours. I just stayed out. But we'll get all that together. But the point is to reform this japa and to remember who we're dealing with. There is something, maybe I can read that at the end. There was a nice reflection I got during this time of trying to take care of my body. It was really nice, a relationship with Krishna. So now let's get started. I think that enough devotees haven't read the book. And I also want you to know that I sent 20 books to Mother Sita. So Mother Sita has Japa Reform notebooks. You don't even have to worry if a person really wants to read the book, you can get the book from Mother Sita. So I guess I'm going to read something to just bring us through. I'm starting at the very, very beginning. I don't want to read, I want to talk. I'll read. So I'm at the introduction. And so this is going to explain itself. Satya Raj says that in essence, the essence of this book is self-explanatory. But I would like to admit the limitations of Japa Reform Notebook and also suggest how devotees can best use it. In chanting the holy name of the Lord, there are 3 stages of development: the offensive stage, the clearing stage, and the transcendental stage. Srila Prabhupada describes these stages in the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. Quote, in the offensive stage, one may desire all kinds of material happiness. But in the second stage, one becomes clear of all material contamination. When one is situated on the transcendental stage, he attains the most coveted position, the stage of loving God. Lord Chaitanya taught that this is the highest stage of perfection of human beings. Japa Reform Notebook concerns a devotee's struggles to free himself from offensive chanting. A critic may question the benefit of hearing from a neophyte who can describe only his own experience in trying to surmount the lowest stage of chanting. But I am not alone in earnestly endeavoring to free myself from the unwanted bad habits in this book. Advice on how to make genuine advancement in attentive chanting, and how to make genuine advancement in attentive chanting and an appreciation of the holy name will be relevant for many. The Krishna consciousness movement is expanding throughout the world, and every day more people are adopting the chanting of Hare Krishna. Everyone should be eager to root out bad habits from the start. So that is our position of starting, a position of wanting to change. Satrup Maharaj, who I'm going to call His Holiness SDG. He was instructed like that by a junior devotee, and he took it as Krishna's mercy. I definitely think it was Krishna's mercy because we got the Japa Reform Notebook, literatures on chanting the holy name. But the main thing is to avoid offensive chanting and to at least get to the clearing stage. The clearing stage is wonderful, but as we've heard so many times, that tasting something and having the shadow of it are two different things. So the real sweetness of the holy name. But the most important thing is to discontinue offensive chanting. And I need your help. Maybe we can compile a list of things that we do that maybe we should stop doing that are offensive in our chanting. No one's going to be sleeping this morning. I'm up and I'm moving. We're all going to be moving. So, Vishnu, I need you to just give me that pen. So let's go. Is there anything that you do during your japa that you feel is offensive? And if you need, I've got a ton of them because I've been offensive for years. That's why that's my struggle. But let's make a list of things that we may need to do to change our japa. Things we need to kick out when we decide that we're going to chant our rounds.
Checking my phone.
Checking the phone. Sleeping.
Thinking what you have to do
Concentration.
apart from chanting, thinking of other stuff, other service or other duties of the day.
I didn't get that.
Thinking about other things.
Huh?
Thinking about other things.
Oh. Things to do list, right? Okay.
Not prioritizing your chanting and letting it just kind of run throughout the day. Putting other things in front of your chanting instead of taking care of it first thing in the morning. And even that word, taking care of it first thing in the morning, is the wrong way to say it. But the idea is not prioritizing chanting.
Mine is the same, wandering, allowing your mind wander.
Concentration.
Letting the mind wander.
Excuse me?
I said letting the mind wander.
Oh, gee. The wandering mind?
Yes.
Bring it back.
Good. Wondering. What about checking out my computer?
Talking to others.
Talking is hard. That's really bad. Disrespect. Disrespect.
No cell phones.
What is that?
No cell phones nearby.
Well, I got checking. So
Phones nearby.
phone is
We got that one.
You're getting into it, but I bet we could come up with a list of 100. There's, you could be chanting your japa and there's a piece of paper on the desk that you just gotta put stop and get up and move that piece of paper. Or I didn't get something for somebody last week and they're going to need it tomorrow. You just go. The point is that when we sit down and chant japa, there's a mechanism that says, okay, you can chant, but this is more important. Whatever it is that comes up is more important than what you're doing right now. All the things that come up, they say they're more important than your chanting. And if you don't believe it, then they start making you real intelligent and giving you so many great ideas that all of a sudden you become so smart that you gotta stop. Because, these ideas, you're just getting so many great ideas when you're chanting Hare Krishna. I gotta even write them down. The ideas are so good. What do you think's taking place?
The mind is fighting for control.
No, the mind's not fighting. The mind is just one. The mind tries to get you by telling you by showing the urgency of things to do. And you didn't budge. You kept trying to chant Hare Krishna. So then the mind said, well, let's go through the back door. He got the intelligence. The lusty mind contaminated the intelligence. And the intelligence brought the planning commission with it. Said, well, we could do this. And if we do this and this and this is going to happen for you. It's always futuristic, you know. Or you can give reflections of the past, that's just the mind on its own. But generally the planning commission is always coming up with more and more ideas and giving you this long scenario that you just have to stop paying attention to your japa. You gotta hear these ideas. That means the lusty mind has influenced the intelligence, and together they're about to make a fool out of the living entity. Because this was our moment. This is our big chance to be in front of Krishna. And instead of being in front of Krishna in a prayerful mood, as we sat down to do, we sat down to spend a couple of hours in meditation on Krishna, on his name, asking to be reinstated in a relationship, letting him know that we're his surrendered devotees. Whatever has happened in the past, please forgive us, because today I want to move forward as your servant. And I believe that we believe that, but we were distracted. We were pulled away by the restless mind. So it's often said this is not the International Society for Mind Consciousness. It's the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. That means we have to do things to keep our awareness on Krishna. And oftentimes, when we speak of japa, people think of just chanting the holy name. But japa, Sadhguru Maharaj makes a lot of nice points in this section that we're reading. Let me just see some of the points I pulled out. One thing is, eager to pass it. We have to be eager to get rid of those bad habits. We get rid of the bad habits because they're not allowing us to make any advancement. There's so many things that we learn to do that we say, I'm going to sit like this, and I'm going to breathe, I'm just going to fix my mind. There's so many things we can do that are practical, wonderful things that help us in Krishna consciousness. But as it says in Japa Reform Notebook, real advancement comes when Krishna is pleased with us. That's when we begin to make advancement. And inattentive chanting or just planning other things like that, that can't make Krishna really pleased with us. We're not even paying attention. We're still being offensive. That's why the clearing platform is so important. That's why being taught to pay attention to make that vow that I'm going to chant one round and I'm going to listen to one round at a time, because you don't make so much room for the mind to seep in. And if the mind doesn't have that much room, then you go on chanting and you listen. The mind will join you. The mind is really naturally in the mode of goodness, but it's a jumper also, so it jumps all the time. So what is the formula? Yato is chalati, manash chanchalam astira. From wherever and wherever mind wanders, we have to be conscious and just bring it back. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh Krishna, oh Radha, please use me, please engage me in your service. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Remember our position. And that's why the things that we've discussed earlier, bearing the meaning of the mantra deep inside of us, opening ourselves up, open ourselves up to a relationship, having some genuine feeling that this is something that I want. These are the things that make the difference. Now we're in a process, but the difference is that this isn't just some trick, some exercise. I'm doing it. I'm calling back because I notice that my mind is drifting. My mind is doing what my mind does. It's trying to pull me away. The intelligence is trying to assist and give me a bunch of ideas and I can do this. But I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in glorifying and pleasing Krishna. I only have a couple hours here. Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. This is my worshipful Lord. He's manifest in the form of the holy name to make it easier for me. And so I got to at least sit here and try like that. And when you do that, you get a positive result. Krishna becomes pleased. And how do you know? You begin to experience the sweetness. It's simple. It opens up some for us. I want to look back at our book.
Prabhu, you accidentally muted yourself? You accidentally muted yourself? There you go. You're good now.
Yes. Very sorry.
Haryasva Prabhu, also, if you maybe, can you move your microphone up a little closer to your mouth?
Thank you, Jonah. That helps me. You need to let me know everything's going on.
There you go.
That's my point. Chanting, I'm going back to some of these instructions in this book. The instructions here stress the effort to improve one's quality of chanting. Critics may feel that I have emphasized too much the hard work required to chant. For example, I dwell so much about the basic things, such as properly pronouncing the words and staying awake. Pure chanting, of course, is not attained merely by technique, but comes by the grace of God. Neither have I said that by hard work alone can a chanter attain pure love of Godhead. Yet we must work to cure ourselves of offenses. This Japa Reform Notebook is therefore an elementary book in Krishna consciousness and its instructions are based on the authority of Guru, Shastra, and Sadhu. This is the point about our Japa. I want to read a little more. Although I have given different instructions about proper chanting, real advancement comes when Krishna is pleased with us. He appears in the heart at his sweet will. And his appearance will be evoked by our becoming devotees all around. This is the point. By becoming an all-around devotee. Not just as a devotee of chanting 16 rounds, but also a devotee of the Vaishnavas, a devotee of our spiritual master, a devotee who performs fixed up service. This is chanting Hare Krishna. As we chant Hare Krishna, we should get a taste for serving the devotees. We're aware of the Vaishnava Association. We're aware that this chanting has been given to us by the spiritual master. When we chant Hare Krishna, that connection with the spiritual master is there. Every day, every round, every time we call Krishna, we are connected with the spiritual master, because this is what he gave us at the time of initiation. And if we have not yet become initiated, this is the order of the spiritual master. To chant, to do our best, to chant 16 rounds daily, and to follow 16 good rounds, at least, and to follow the regulated principles of freedom. This is what he's offering to us. And why? Because this brings us to the human platform, and the change can take place. The change of consciousness can take place. He used to ask for 64. Here he's asking us to chant 16 good rounds. And this is the basis of developing that relationship. Okay, any points on what we're talking about? Are there any questions? Any comments about where we've gotten so far? The whole point is to become a fixed up devotee, to become really a solid sadhana bhakta, a devotee who's regulated in his studies, regulated in his attendance to worship Krishna, and regulated in chanting his japa. If we do these things, then we become well-rounded. When we call for Krishna, it becomes easier for him to appear, because we begin to please him. Just like I asked one time, I asked Dr. Rams, I says in the verse where Veda Tvam Samyatat Sarvam Tat Patat Tadanupata where the sages of Naimisharanya are speaking their soliciting sutta. And they told him, and because you were submissive, the spiritual masters have endowed you with all the favors bestowed upon a gentle and learned disciple. Now please scientifically explain to us all that you've learned from them. And then Srila Prabhupada says in the first line on his purport, he said the secret to success in spiritual life is to get the genuine blessing of the spiritual master. So I was thinking, well, spiritual master seems like all the blessings is genuine blessings of the spiritual master. So I asked Dr. Maharaj that, and we were in Puerto Rico, and he says, see that gentleman this morning, he brought me the flowers and the fruits. He said, I thank him and I bless him. He said, for what he's done. He said, but when the young disciples go out day in and day out, they get up, they chant their rounds, they go out on sacred time, they give people books, they undergo a certain amount of austerity, just trying to push on this movement towards Chaitanya. He says, how do I not bless them? He says, they become blessed. He says, so that is more like the genuine blessing of the spiritual master. And then we get that point. So for ourselves, that is what we want. And our chanting is so connected with the spiritual master that we don't have to make any extraneous endeavors. The spiritual master is clear by media. So he's asking us to go to Krishna. When we go to Guru, we go to Krishna. We follow his instructions. We go straight to him and we go to Krishna. And japa is our beginning stage. And changing the trajectory of our japa is a very important and intelligent platform to start from. And the Japa Reform Notebook is trying to help us do at least that. And now to the introduction. Any points, comments?
Prabhu, when you're speaking, can you speak a little, moving a little closer to the computer? Remember, your microphone doesn't work without that one piece. So you have to lean into the computer to use the computer microphone.
So I'm sorry. You don't hear me as well.
No, because remember that piece that we had for the headset needs to be connected.
I have it. I
Okay.
have it down, but I haven't put it back on properly.
Okay, yeah, so you need that for us to hear you through the headset microphone, so you just need to make sure you're close to the computer when you're speaking.
So I'm going to stand here out. Can you hear me better like this?
Yes, that's much better. Thank you, Prabhu.
I'm really sorry about that.
No, that's okay. That's why I just wanted to just interject really quickly so we could hear you better. Some good nectar that you're offering, Prabhu.
But I want to hear some feedback. I don't want. I know everybody read at least 20 pages, so don't hold back.
I have a question.
I love questions.
So my question is that knowing that doing pure chanting and pure devotional service and all the things that distract me personally in my life, it's how do we not get discouraged when we see these things pop into our lives every day and distracting us, and then it's like, oh, I failed again. How do I not get discouraged in the process of working through the anarthas and working through the offenses that during Japa and during my spiritual life?
That's pretty nice, Mother. That's good. Well, you don't get discouraged because you look back and you think of what's actually taking place. You are the one that's asking for a relationship with Krishna. You are the one that belongs to Krishna. And you're the one that's broken that relationship with Krishna. So when you're trying to approach him and you're not getting the reaction that you feel as though you need, if you get discouraged, it's obvious for the point one, your desire was not that strong. Not that discouragement comes, moments of discouragement, but if you get to the point of discouragement that you want to just give up, then you don't understand the nature of the relationship, that you're really trying to reestablish a relationship. You want a relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that should be a little impetus to keep us moving. And humility is a word that I'm going to get carved into wood, because humility plays such a big role in our whole devotional experience. And the humility, as I was saying last week, humility is an object of knowledge. Not just like you become smart. Humility is a manifestation of the Lord's mercy, meaning you understand. You understand how fragile our position is. You understand that you belong to the Supreme Lord and you want to reestablish that relationship. Therefore, Trinada Pisu Nichena Sor Apisu Hishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtania Sadahari. You want to chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind. And that question that came up, how do we see ourselves lower than the shore and the street, more tolerant than the tree? Well, you may not see yourself like that. Because for so many years, I don't see myself like that. But I know I'm lower than that right now. I know from understanding that the fact that I don't feel regretful like that, being that I belong to Krishna, and I don't feel like that, that in itself is humbling. And my prayer is, Krishna, please, please, break me down, so at least I can come to the point of entering in a relationship with you. And we don't have to worry too much, because humiliation usually keeps coming our way. And then humility comes. We become frustrated. Remember, there is another mechanism to get us down to the platform of humility. That's called Maya. Although we think that Maya is a joyride, we find out once we get connected with her, she's a nightmare, And those threefold miseries which are there, they just never let up. So the material world is designed in such a way that we either be intelligent and be humble, or be experienced and be humbled. The choice is up to us. But the humility is what is needed. I understand that I have a relationship with you. I want it. I want it back. And then the other thing is that you have to feel maybe I'm not tasting it because Krishna's holding back. Maybe he's testing me to see if I really want a relationship with him. And if I stop now, what did I get? And my spiritual master has given me this to do. So all these factors strengthen our resolve to keep pushing ahead. This is called faith. And if your faith is weak, put yourself in the association of some devotees. And devotees, that faith will come up. And if you get in the association of really strong devotees, unbelievable. You won't know yourself. It's from their heart to your heart. The transferal, that devotional shakti, you just feel it. And you say, okay, I'm so unworthy, but I'll continue to go on. I don't deserve a taste, but I'll continue to go on. How's that, Mother?
Thank you, Prabhu. Very appreciated.
It is wonderful. I have to preach to myself like that all the time, Mother.
Good to know.
Okay, Mother Sudevi?
She is not on today, unfortunately.
She went to Kutanagari.
Oh, sweet Jesus. Okay. All right, Mother Sita. I know you've been reading all weekend.
I am. There is so much. There is so much. It's beautiful at the same time, very challenging.
See, for me, I was really a little sick and I really was trying. So I went over some things and I was writing things down, but what I need from the group in order to make this work and move smoothly so that we can really go through a lot of things, I need you to read what you have to read. And then I can just hit points and open up the points of the different sections. Other than that, I have notes from the section from what I read, but I have to read it and then connect it with the notes and it's.
I have something that I read that stuck in my mind.
Okay.
It was example of the wedding party.
Yes.
Like the night, there was and they didn't pull the anchor out.
Yes.
So that after so many years of chanting, we still didn't feel any bliss. We still committing offenses. Even we hear so much about, how to chant nicely, we still committed offenses. So this is one of the points that really stuck my mind. I want to improve on that. After many years of chanting, why we cannot improve? Why we cannot reform? Even after hearing so many instructions, like you've been giving almost a month now about Japa reform, talking about how to improve our Japa. And this is the thing I would like to work in, and I want you to give some more light on that.
Well, I feel the way you feel when you go to those 10 offenses and 10 offenses, not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy names, and to maintain material attachments. It's also an offense to be innocent while chanting. I feel like I'm wiped out. Just that one offense, I feel like you just wiped me out. I had such a hard time, and then, but the point is that this is what we have to do in order to become pure chanters. And our material attachments, they begin to subside. So the more we cultivate real knowledge, transcendental knowledge, then it lets us see a thing as it is. And what is our real attachment? Our real attachment is to this material world, to our bodies, to our minds. It's just the gross and subtle body. That's our real attachment and the objects of the senses. So as we begin to see, we cultivate knowledge. We begin to see who we actually are. Then it changes the way we're going to chant. It changes the way we think. And we talk about chanting, but I don't hear us talking so much about serving. And that's what chanting is about. We're asking to be engaged in the service of the Lord. And so the best way to serve is das anu das. We become the servant of the servant of the servant. You want to boil the verse yesterday. Shu shu sho shodidanasha. Vasudeva Katarichi. By serving the Mahatmas, the great souls, a great service is done. And what's the result of that? You know, one gains an affinity for hearing the message of Vasudeva. So from learning to hear with rapt attention, then all those troublesome things in the heart become wiped away. And one can become situated in steadiness, initiative, you know, and then you can keep going up to the platform, you know, of, again, pure love of God. Rupa Goswami, his methodology in Nectar Devotion is the same thing that's explained in chanting the holy name. The same path is taken. We're dealing with Krishna. So the knowledge will make you strong. The association is the strongest. But the association, you still will cultivate knowledge. And from that, you'll begin to see a thing as it is. Your desire changes. When the desire changes, you don't want those things anymore. You see the frailty in them, the sessions. But that's why Satrumad says, I thought that was interesting, he made the point that devotee, let me see, he said, Krishna comes, well, that phrase that he used. He said, it's our all-around situation that makes us a fixed up devotee, which is pleasing to Krishna. So we have to become fixed up devotees. We become very regulated, very diligent. I don't know if you've ever seen a good Sankirtan party, but you see the brahmacharis come through. The brahmacharis come through, and at 2:30 or whatever their regulation is, nobody's waking them up. They're up, and they're showering, they're taking care of themselves, and they're getting ready. And then they sit down and they chant they get dressed, tilak, chant their japa. If they chant their japa, they study some slokas, or they read. And after that, some of them do some puja. Then they go to the morning program, full morning program. And after the morning program, they take their reading time. And after that, they take their prasadam and they're out on the field. They have their duty, they have their service. The only thing, everything else is to strengthen them so that they can do their service. Their japa is the time that they're asking for that service. They're aware of the relationship with Krishna. They're conscious that this is my worshipful Lord. I need you. And so in the early hours, they're chanting that, begging them, pleading with him to use them. And after that, they go out the rest of the day and they engage in devotional service. And thinking of him, as you do that, you begin to think of Krishna constantly. So that's becoming fixed up devotees. This is what we need in Philadelphia for Gauranitai, for Radhashard Bihari, and of course for Lord Jagannath, Jagannatha Swami, Baladev Subhadra. We need to see the connection that we have. It's also recommended that one worship the form of the Lord. We don't have to, but we're so neophyte that we can't focus a lot of times. So we need to become attached to the form of the Lord, worship him, offer, dress him, bring him things. And in that way, we remember and we connect the name. That's the same person. So what we're doing right now, we're talking about building the emotional environment. But it's really the angas of bhakti. These are different limbs of bhakti. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Patasevanam, dasa, Pandanam, Atmanivedanam, giving one's complete self. This is the process. This is why we chant japa. We want to become good disciples. We want to become good devotees. And we can do that if together we decide that we're going to change, that we're not going to do sloppy japa. We're not going to neglect it. We're going to check the bad things that we're doing. We're going to look for good things to do. We're going to look for good association. We're going to speak Krishna Katha when we see one another, not Gramna Katha. We're not going to talk about the gossip. And I know I got 5 sisters. I know that is hard. Men gossip too. But it is hard to quit that gossip. But that gossip will bring us down like anything. Kick it out the back window. Krishna doesn't even like much to talk about him. Glorify Krishna. So these are the things that we need to do, and you'll see these things are listed. Yeah. Are there any other?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes.
You're talking about humility, and I think that is very important. What practical tips do you have to see? You were talking about gossip also. It's so easy to see gossip and other negative things in others. How do we see it within ourselves? That seems a little bit harder. When I do it, I rationalize it as constructive criticism. And when somebody else does it, I say it's gossip. How, any other practical
Well,
tips?
first of all, constructive criticism is going directly to somebody that you have a relationship with, generally. If you have to engage them, just like your children have to be straightened out. And so mom's got to give it out, Now I've asked you to clean up that room, And if you would not go play sports and be here when you get out of school and do your homework first, I'd appreciate that. It's your duty. I don't think you find joy, but you got to do that duty if you want to see that they grow up properly. But when you get and say, yeah, so-and-so, oh my God, just awful, I'm not going to talk about her, but you know how it goes. And that we all can get caught up in it, but that will bring us down because that is an offense. That's a bad one. One of the most important things we discussed, remember, in the Japa book was do not criticize devotees. Do not criticize devotees. That was one of the most important things in chanting Japa. And why? Because they belong to Krishna. And Vaishnava aparad is very bad. It's damaging. And devotees evolve. Don't know where a particular person is in their involvement of their devotional relationship. I just know that right now so-and-so is acting like a jerk. Well, that may be true, but I don't have to start criticizing so-and-so who's acting like a jerk. I can say, boo, gotta try a little harder, and we love you, and give some encouragement. But away from that, you know, I can't get into it because, you know, when you come to the platform of an ordinary Vritti, you're trying to get those unwanted things out of your heart. Or if you've already been to a certain point in a relationship with Krishna and you have some other impurities to get away, we don't know. That relationship is with Krishna. And so we can't speculate on the advancement of these different devotees. And ultimately, Prabhupada said all his disciples were pure devotees. So, you know, they're all mangles. They're all mangles. Sometimes you see a bunch of green mangles and you see colored mangles, but they're all mangles. So look at devotees for what they really are. They're so precious. One devotee can change the face of the world. Look at Srila Prabhupada. One devotee. Why? Because the devotee becomes empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The whole parampara is there. So devotees are very special. We love them. Why? Because Krishna loves them. So we don't criticize the devotees. And I have to apologize too. Sometimes I criticize, thinking I've got the right. And I don't have the right. And it kills our japa. If you want to know one of the biggest japa killers, just start talking about devotees. You lose your taste. Serve the devotees. That means we're not being envious. Serve the devotees. The whole thing of japa is service. Service for his pleasure. We're begging to be used. We're begging for somebody to come down the hallway and say, Prabhu, I need you to do this. Prabhu, can I put you on a schedule? This temple can run so nicely. We have so many wonderful things in Philadelphia. And I'm convinced from chanting nicely and reading together, we're going to find the love and devotion within each and every one of us. We're going to find how wonderful this community actually is, how wonderful these devotees are. And when we find that out together, we're going to work like anything, because we're going to beg Krishna so hard that they're going to use us to do wonderful things for this Philadelphia community. And that is being a part of Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement. I've seen it happen here. I've been a part of it. Lord Jagannath is the most magical. Oh, when Jagannath gets moving, you think Lord Chaitanya's got the party going. Jagannath's amazing. So, O Lord of the Yadus, O King of the Vrishnis, at last, it is for certain, whoever feels himself fallen and that there's no other shelter than you, the Lord Jagannath becomes very easily disposed to that person. May that Jagannath Swami be the object of my wish. He's here. So I tell you, last thing I'll tell you is that I had to go to the hospital this week, and I just forget a lot of times. So I was just going on, I was chanting. Then I thought, oh Krishna, I didn't ask you to sing with me. And so I took the Panchatattva and I put them in my heart. I didn't think they'd fit in my bag. So I put them in my heart and brought them with me. And I thought, oh, Jagannath. I said, well, Jagannath, it's so, you're so big. Lord Chaitanya is here, so he'll bring you. So I said, but I'll see you when I get back, Lord Jagannath. And then I went on, and then I looked, and I was waiting to go in, and Drona sent me a message, but he sent me this beautiful picture of Lord Jagannath. And I said, whoa, there was Jagannath. I said, Jagannath, you came, you know? And then Madhavan sent me the bathing of Lord Nrsimhadev, you know, and the Nrsimha prayers were being chanted, written out and everything. And it was just gorgeous. I said, wow. And then after that, Shardvi Hari himself came. Jonah sent them too. But I didn't tell them this. But our lives are personal. We have a relationship with the lordships that we worship. we think of them, we talk to them. And I had talked to Jagannath, but he didn't want to wait for me to come. He came on his own accord. So I wrote, and I was writing something to my sister. I wrote that sometimes, we're not smart enough or devoted enough to remember the Supreme Lord. But in spite of us, he shows up anyway. And often there's a competition of trying to see who loves who the most when dealing with the Supreme Lord. And it's obvious that he loves us the most. But at least we should make the endeavor to try to show that we love him more. And that's what I think about this process of Krishna consciousness. We are dealing with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we should know that he exists. We should feel that he's in our presence, that he's in our heart, that he's in the temple. We should feel his presence. We should be here now simply because we understand that the awakening of this relationship will happen if we adhere to the process a little better. But the process is both genuine, it's real. I just have to do better. Because Krishna always shows up. All of us have had some taste. If we didn't have the taste, we wouldn't be here. So to continue that taste and to take the relationship to where it needs to go, you need to read to page 40 by next week, okay? You need to get that Japa Reform notebook and do your you can call it homework or your real work. You need to read it. You need to show me that you care, because that's going to show Krishna that you care. Are there any other points? I've done my part.
Hare Krishna.